Let's dive into the mind of the Nobel Prize-winning poet Wislawa Szymborska in a really unique way. Have you ever imagined sitting down with the great writers who shaped how you think? Just having conversations with them across time. Well, that's exactly what she did to get a better handle on what it even means to be human. And it all starts with this really powerful idea. We never, ever truly think alone. Think about it. Our minds are kind of like rooms, furnished by our teachers, our friends, and especially by the writers who just completely startled us awake. This is the big idea we're going to be exploring today.
So she created these incredible imaginary dialogues, almost as a way of saying thank you. And through them, she explored three fundamental human arts: the art of seeing the world clearly, the art of enduring all its weight, and the art of speaking the truth with real care. And through her, well, maybe we can understand ourselves a little better too.
And that brings us right to the heart of her whole project, this idea that literature is a timeless kind of companionship. It's a conversation that never, ever has to end. So who did she invite to her table?
Here they are. These are her conversation partners, her intellectual friends. And each one offered a totally unique lens on life. Chekhov taught her about the ordinary, Miłosz about history, Kafka about absurdity, Czechowicz about modesty, and Herbert taught her about irony.
All right, let's start with the first art, seeing. From Anton Chekhov and Józef Czechowicz, Szymborska learned something huge, that the most profound truths, they aren't found in some grand spectacle, no. They're in the quiet, overlooked corners of our daily lives. You know, people are always looking for thunder and angels, but Chekhov, he believed the real miracles, they happen while you're making tea or washing dishes. He and Szymborska were on the exact same page. Life's biggest dramas, they often kick off with something as tiny as a misplaced spoon.
So, okay, how do we actually see these miracles? Chekhov's advice was just beautifully simple. Watch. Don't judge. He was convinced you could understand a person's entire soul just by watching a simple, unguarded action. It's really a masterclass in just paying attention.
And this, right here, this gets to the absolute core of Szymborska's philosophy. For her, poetry isn't about escaping the mundane. It's about revealing the extraordinary that's already hidden right inside of it. The grandest thing in life, she thought, is that we somehow just survive our daily routines and still, somehow, find ways to love each other.
This whole idea of quiet strength, it connects perfectly to her conversation with Józef Czechowicz. And she uses this gorgeous metaphor to explain it. Ambition is a ladder, right? A relentless climb. But modesty is a hammock. It holds you gently. It encourages you to rest. It sways with the world instead of trying to fight against it.
Okay, so from seeing, we have to move to something a little heavier, the art of enduring. How do we carry the weight of the world? For this, Szymborska turned to Czesław Miłosz to talk about history, and to the one and only Franz Kafka to confront absurdity. In her chat with Miłosz, there's this incredible tension. On one side, you have history. It's this arrogant, stomping force, like heavy luggage we're forced to carry but never chose to pack. But on the other side, there's us, individuals, and we're light. We're humble, anonymous, and we find our freedom by slipping through the cracks, even learning how to dance with tragedy. And that leads her straight to Kafka, because if the world is fundamentally absurd, a place of confusing trials and locked castles, how can you even talk about hope without feeling like a total liar? It's a question that haunted Kafka, and one Szymborska has a really surprising answer for.
Her answer is just wow. It's so profound. She argues that hope doesn't exist despite absurdity. It exists within it. The very fact that the world makes no sense, and yet, we get up, we keep trying, we just continue. That stubborn continuation is the most hopeful thing you can possibly imagine.
So let's be clear. This isn't some grand, blind optimism. It's a practical tool. Hope is the small, defiant act of making a cup of tea. It's that tiny pause before you speak, that moment where anything is still possible. It is the simple, powerful choice to just keep going, especially when the answers aren't coming.
All right, we've learned to see and to endure. Now, for the final art, speaking. How do we communicate difficult truths? For this, Szymborska turns to her friend, the sharp and deeply moral poet Zbigniew Herbert.
You see, Herbert's irony could cut deep, and he worried about it. So Szymborska offers him this brilliant concept she calls kind irony. The difference, she says, is all about intention. Are you trying to hurt someone, or are you trying to gently wake them up to a truth they really need to see?
The metaphor she uses for this is just stunning. Unkind irony, that's like throwing a mirror right at someone. It's violent, and it shatters them. But kind irony, that's holding that same mirror up with a steady hand, letting them see their own reflection, flaws and all, without breaking.
But Herbert pushes back. He asks, what if the world doesn't deserve such care? And Szymborska's response is so powerful. That, she says, is precisely when kindness matters the most. It's not weakness. It's not being naive. In a harsh, cynical world, choosing gentleness is a radical act of resistance.
So after these conversations about seeing and enduring and speaking, Szymborska leaves us with one final thought that really ties everything together.
In the end, it all comes down to gratitude. Not a loud, performative kind of gratitude, but a quiet art. It's the joy she finds in this imagined companionship, this warmth that's been stitched together from all the writers who helped her see the world. And then she turns to us, to you. These ideas, this poetry, they don't just survive in a vacuum. They survive in the act of listening, of paying attention. And today, just by listening, you've become a part of that timeless conversation.
And so, we end exactly where we began. Szymborska reminds us that our thoughts are never truly just our own. So the final question is for you. Who are the writers, the teachers, the friends who have left their fingerprints on your mind?